G'day everyone and welcome to the Aussie takeover on mic, that is, of Squid Junction 51. I'm liligravybread, you can call me Lily, and I'm joined by my good friend Amy Syker, coming to you from a beautifully warm and sunny spring morning here in Australia. We'll be taking you all the way through to the end of this tournament, but first, Amy, how you going, mate?
Dude, I am not doing too bad. I am hanging out tight for the rest of these matches because from what we've seen from the early matches, they are absolutely nuts and crazy and full of hype here tonight / this morning for us. That's right. It's the Australian takeover. It's morning. You're now in the morning. That's right.
You know, in the morning.
No respecting other time zones here. Only Australian time zone. But yeah,
speaking of zones, I think we are currently waiting for the strike bans, are we? Or they've already happened. It does look like we have two zones maps. Yeah, we do have our maps, so it does look like we have two zones maps coming in here.
Yeah, so museum zones, fun one to play. I always like playing this map. It's a interesting position. You gotta, take care of that left side. Keep an eye out for that pesky flank that you get from a Tetris or a Wiper or a Samper, etc. And my favorite part, bullying up on the plat when you can. Always a good time.
Of course. Yeah, that plat is always going to be so crucial to take control over in terms of just being able to lock out the other team, just making it really difficult for them to drop down. But of course, you got to always keep an eye out on the flank. Which can surprise people from behind. Yeah, if you want to come and retake that zone, of course. We will be seeing the two teams of this next setup going to be Mussel Up and Rabid. We just saw Rabid go 3-1 in the previous set, but Mussel Up, let's just see quickly what we'll be seeing. We'll be seeing, I believe we have some really strong teams and players coming up in this set, so I'm very excited to see what both teams bring to the table. I know that I think the previous match we saw Rabid play was also Museum as well, actually, and having Adapt Bucket is always going to be a strong pressure, a strong force against those ledges.
Indeed. And here we go, heading into our first match, Splat Zones, Museum. Let's see what our players are bringing us today. Ooh, we've got a pencil.
The pencil come out. The pencil come out. Pencil coming in. It's very strong, especially in zones. It can definitely help cap the zone really well and also provide a lot of special output, and having those tacticalers on your team is always going to be a very beneficial thing, just to be able to get up in the face of the other team with minimizing any of the downsides of taking those fights. We are already seeing early Zukas coming out, helping Mussel Up cap the zone, and we can see Rabid already kind of having to retreat back a little bit as Mussel Up is already moving up ahead. But I do believe two players have gone down on Mussel Up already, so we might be able to see Rabid actually take the zone back to himself, Amy.
And yeah, now they're going to be trying to look up to applying pressure to their flat. We do see the specials come out from Mussel Forge, trying to, they get a pick there. That's great on that side. They're two down. The DP's respawning. Another player down on Rabid's side, and the zone's flipped back over to Mussel Up. It's very back and forward at the moment, what I'm seeing at least from what I'm seeing from Mussel Up, especially though, is they're really doing a good job at taking fights together. Unfortunately, that pencil going down on the spinner there, and it looks like this Inkjet's coming up to apply some pressure, get their team, get Rabid back in, seeing a pick but going down.
Yeah,
a lot of just back and forth.
Yeah, definitely back and forth. I think having the pencil go down can be a little bit of a trouble for Mussel Up, because you're losing your backbone a little bit in that situation, but it does look like they are still holding on quite strongly and being able to get that zone back. They're just going to have to keep an eye on whoever might be coming down for the flank, however, as two players have gone down once again. And knowing that Rabid Zuka is online, it looks like they have the opportunity to retake the zone once again. And with three players down, I think that Mussel Up is gonna be starting to get into a tricky situation. However, they have been very good at being able to come back in, taking those fights, and actually like hold the zone for quite a while. Which we've seen they have pushed to 43, but Rabid is actually coming back up, making sure that at least 2 players are down at a time, and while they control this plat aim.
Yeah, exactly, and you can see there Dapple's, you know, holding their spinner quite well there, kind of denying them time and space into getting back into zone, and Rabid's already overtaking the lead here. Mussel needs to kind of recap here, get the specials together. They've got the Chiller out, but this Jet is just continually applying that pressure, getting a pick there on their plat, forcing them. 2 picks! 2 picks there. Holy,
2 picks. They have only a few seconds left to be able to retake the zone, but it does look like Rabid's going to be holding on
here.
right until the knockout.
Not enough time there, unfortunately, seeing that Crab just probably like just 10 seconds too late there to apply pressure.
Yeah, I was a little bit late. I think that like having those players go down towards the end did mean that they just needed the extra time, which they didn't have, unfortunately, to be able to retake that zone and get the other team into penalty here. But that was definitely like a strong finish, I gotta say.
Yeah, I unfortunately Mussel up. It kind of felt like they were only really had 3 players at a time, and with that last inkjet in the last 10 seconds, taking 2 picks as well, leaving them with, you know, half a team to try and apply pressure, cap zone, get picks. It was just overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that like every time that I've seen like their backline, their pencil kind of go down, that was, I feel, where Mussel Up was almost like, oh man, we don't have this like support backline pencil to kind of like help get back in, because that's just losing out on another tactical, or just like a few seconds that they have to wait for another tactical to be able to push back in aggressively. They've got
and
like,
not even just the tactical or the, you know, pencil, the paint and the chip damage that it provides is also really key in helping them push back in.
Yeah, especially also with like Sungura's aim as well. I've watched Sungura play so many tournaments at this point. I'm always still kind of like blown away a little bit by the impressive aim as well. So amazing job, Rabid, for being able to take that first game. Actually, we'll be moving on to tower control on, I believe it's Hagglefish Market next. But yeah,
that is right. How do you feel about Hagglefish? Are you a Hagglefish fan, or are you a Hagglefish put it in the drain and don't look at it?
I think it depends. Like, I like Hagglefish Market. On zones, however, I'm maybe controversially, I'm not a big fan of Hagglefish zones, because it's just like this kind of hourglass shape, a little bit. Where
it can be very
so
stolly indeed.
Yeah, definitely. But on tower control, I actually really enjoy it, and we are seeing them come out here. Sungura back on the pencil. We are seeing, I believe it's the same comps.
Yeah, I think we are seeing the same clumps. I believe they've switched out the one of the. Oh no, same clumps here. BB's already got their inkjet already. We're seeing the tri-strikes come out, double strikes from the other team, 2 specials from Rabid here. But they're kind of all spread out through the stage. They kind of swap sides almost. But we do see Rabid taking the tower, pushing it along forward. There is someone behind them, but that BP is looking forward to keep that tower moving with the trade happening there.
Yeah,
already
the Zuka not
past.
The Zuka not really pushing them off tower, because they just had someone just to get right back on to get through that first checkpoint, which they clear no problem at all. Sungura getting a splat on Squid here. It does look like Adapter is going to be trying to get scrambled back onto the tower, just stopping anyone from being able to contest that as they keep pushing it forward. It does look like, however, they are only slowly inching forward as 3 players have gone down, leaving Adapt at the end, holding on to those tri-strikes as Sungura takes the tower.
Yeah, well, Adapt made a good decision there, kind of like seeing that, you know, half their team was down. They had a couple specials in their pocket. You know, move back, keep hold of the key special tri-strikes to, you know, re-establish the team's presence and push back in. You see the tactical will come out. We're going to probably see another push from Rabid here as Mussel Up is forced to move back onto their plat.
Yeah, I'm getting like memories of the map Mussel Foot. Witness, actually, I wonder if that's a map that's ever gonna come back. Does look
I
like,
hope
however,
not.
it does look with these strikes coming out from Adapt. They also have an inkjet coming online right now just to help push towards the next checkpoint. Two players have gone and Mussel up, but that's another two players. Adapt is down on Rabid. They have an Azuka online still, but that's the only special they have, which
And
unfortunately
a
they lose.
soft light.
Yeah, soft white
Yeah,
is going to be Muscle Up's opportunity
that
to
T-Tech
move
came
right.
out of their top canopy, you know,
Ooh,
going
did
for a
you
little
see
bit of
that?
flank there.
Did you
That was
see
an
that
amazing
Zuka
choice.
pick on Adapter from Storm? It does look like this is going to be the opportunity that Muscle Up needs to be able to push through those checkpoints, as they haven't even got the first one yet, but it does look like they may be able to take it here if they can get Rabbit down just enough, or just out of the way enough in order to do it.
Yeah, they are down. Their pencil is down, but hopefully, look forward, they're going to be back in soon. That jump is heavily bombed. Tri-Strike's coming out. What I'm seeing from Muscle Up here is that they're, with having two Tri-Strikes weapons, they're just Tri-Strike Zuka weapons. They're able to just continually apply that pressure, especially, you know, up in that top right area. You know someone's going to be sitting kind of trying to make sure they don't get through that second check. But Rabid is regaining their space, you know, forcing this shot to kind of juggle around the tower a bit more. You know, Muscle Up's going to need some more specials to break through here with the Tri-Strike still kind of stalling this tower in that second check area.
Yeah, it does look like they are still going to attempt to push the tower, but they do get taken out right there. The Summer going down as well. It does look like that Rabid might be in a little bit of the back foot. They're kind of like
yeah,
a little
they're
bit.
down two players again. Like, Kiwi is absolutely
like
dominating that top right area, going off of a trade at the end there. Adapt trying to slush something over, trying to hit the tower, not really reaching anything, but it is forcing them off. Allowing
yeah, it does force them off.
Just to stall a little bit longer, but you know, Rabbit's lost the lead here, and Muscle Up is pounding with those specials at the moment.
Yeah, I have to say that seeing Rabid go down 1-2 players at a time, sometimes it does look like they're kind of struggling to keep up their defense, but it does look like they are actually at the moment getting some presence with 2 players having gone down on Muscle Up. They just need to be able to wait out this crab and or actually like deal with it, move it out of the way somehow in order to be able to get some paint back on the ground as we go into the final 30 seconds. It does look like, however, all players are online at the moment. We are seeing the inkjet come out, trying to help create some space. They have like more than 20 points to push through if they want to get lead back in these last few seconds. They're going to be looking for an overtime push, but they need to get all of their players up alive in order to do that. And with 3 players down, another soft wipe, it does look like I don't think they'd be able to do it in these last few seconds.
3 people.
Sorry,
it took out one person, but they were able to get 3 picks off that shot there, and absolute game changer. They kind of all, unfortunately, Rabid kind of all fed that corner a little bit too hard, trying to probably not allow the shot to get their Zuka out, which would potentially, like, you know, easily kill anyone sitting on tower for that overtime push. And looks like Muscle Forge is finding their flow in this game against, sitting at 1-1 right now.
Yeah, sitting at 1-1, and that I have to say was for the most part, I was like seeing a Rabid being able to make a really strong presence in the first half of the game, but Muscle Up getting not only that lead, but being able to keep Rabid down a couple of players, or maybe at least just one player at a time, just to be able to hold that lead for so long in the last couple of minutes of the game was definitely the move that they were looking for, to be able to make sure that they could have that safe lead right up until the very end.
Yeah, and just having those specials to continually apply pressure to Rabid. And we saw Kiwi dominating that top right, really allowed them to get that tower to push. Because if you don't have control of, or at least an eye on top right, trying to push that second to third check can be really difficult, because you can just get punished so easily with the height advantage on that canopy.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I think like we can see in this replay, we see that trade happening around the canopy as well. So there's definitely a lot of action that happens over there. But you know, with those 3 players going down right at the very end, that soft wipe, this is definitely where Muscle Up could confirm the win. I think they were just looking for at least that like safety net of having like the constant advantage in numbers over Rabid in order to secure their win as well. But I think like one thing as well that I feel Rabid had really good going for them in the first half of the match was the amount of ping control. We saw like in the very first like fight for mid, we saw actually I think Rabid had painted up almost up until Muscle Up's ramp before they even started pushing the tower. So they could just move in there very quickly and to be able to contest canopy, but to be able to apply any kind of pressure to their plat as well, to be able to get that lead that just kept on that first push that just kept on going throughout that first checkpoint before they started kind of slowing down to the next one.
Indeed, indeed. And we are going to be heading into Rainmaker Ship Shape Cargo Co.
Ship Rainmaker, what do you think of this one?
I actually haven't played Rainmaker on this map yet, but I have seen a lot of clips, and it is a very short checkpoint that you're achieving. It like first checkpoint is just easy. It's a bit like Flounder Heights in that way that you can get first check and then it's kind of
a straight line.
Kind of just finish it off. That takes forever, and you get into this back and forth kind of match.
I do find that like this on this map in particular, this is one where if you wipe out the other team, because of how like few seconds, how short it is to get from one side to the other, it can just be a matter of like seconds to be able to get a knockout once you have that first checkpoint. And we saw, I think, 3 players go down. I believe it was Rabid just before. 2 players gone down. Rabid, this is going to be, I believe Rabid is still holding on to this Rainmaker as they take the Greats over there, supported by the Ink Vac, and it does look like they do have a lead here going up to 7-7, but Mussel Up is going to be looking for the opportunity to be able to just wait out this Zuka and take back control from that hearing.
Yeah, it kind of looks like this, across the Greats check is favorable. Well, like what I've seen most players take rather than the direct method, which is the shorter route, which is interesting. I guess, this method is available to each team. It's quite easy to punish the only going to the route. But in saying that, Mussel Up has gone for it, taking the lead there. How quickly that was to use those skills and advantages to get those points. And
they're definitely taking advantage of like the way the map is working, is making sure that they are like ducking behind that wall, getting that support from the Ink Vac. I love seeing the Ink Vac come out of Rainmaker, I have to say. I think it's like one of my favorite weapons, just to see how the players like use it to play together. But with 3 players down and Mussel Up, Rabid's gonna just look for their opportunity to find a way back in terms of like retaking control of this map as well. But we are seeing Sungura looking around perhaps for a pick, at least to apply some kind of pressure here, and at least to like force back Rabid from being able to make any of their presence. It does look like a dab goes down when they were looking for a pick right there, but with all players up online as well, and 2 players actually, it is a little bit of bloodbath.
It switches in an instant. You're talking, and then all of a sudden, Muscle Forge is almost in a half self-wipe there with their players respawning and trying to defend, and Dap's taken the checkpoint. It's how quickly this can change, and now it's all about that last check.
I love seeing that Ink Vac versus Ink Vac right there. I love seeing the Ink Vac versus the Ink Vac, one trying to help pop the Rainmaker and the other one on defense, knowing that, okay, because I popped my Ink Vac later, as soon as they pop the Rainmaker, I can just aim at the Rainmaker carrier and just like take them out of the game immediately, stopping that push from happening right there. It does look like we're seeing Sungura holding the Rainmaker right here, but we have the 2 specials online from Rabid, knowing that they have to kind of take this a little bit slowly and cautiously, knowing that they are at a little bit of a disadvantage just in terms of specials at the moment. We are seeing the specials slowly come online with that Crab, I believe, coming out to help support this push. Unfortunately, actually, the splash goes down.
And the Ink Vac is back out, going down to the Rainmaker there. It looks like you're kind of seeing Mussel Up kind of try and divvy between both checks, being like, oh, which one should I take? Should I take left? Should I take right? Should I take left? Looks like they're going to rotate into that middle check, but going down to the explosion of the Rainmaker, holding it for just a little bit too long there. But with 3-on-3 at the moment, trades happening, that Rainmaker's kind of in a what I feel like is a tough position for Mussel Up to kind of pop. But it's already popped. They just need to kind of pick it up and go. But being in the pit, just, you have to go back, to go forward, to go back, you know? Or we're seeing Adapt kind of pick off their players one by one. They are 2 down at the moment. The Crab is throwing, lobbing shots behind that wall. And with the back, they get the check.
This looks like they get the checkpoint.
We're going into the last,
40 seconds
last minute. Oh,
40 seconds left. They are absolutely desperate, trying to get a lead on Rabid at the moment. There's only a 1-point difference, so anything can happen here. But with all these specials coming out on the side of Rabid, it does look like this is going to be very difficult for Mussel Up to be able to get that Rainmaker back. Half is holding the Rainmaker here, getting a splat already. They are in the pit with 3 players down on Mussel Up. All they needed to do was hold it, but it looks like they do go down. The Rainmaker has reset, has gone back to mid. With that reset, it does look like Mussel Up already has quite a bit of ping control, but if they move too far forward, they're going to be up against Rabid's defense here. So if they can find their opportunity, at least in overtime, to be able to get this 1-point lead on them, then they can take the game. But I'm not sure if this is gonna happen with that Zuka coming out, pushing them back. It does look like
they managed to evade it. The backs are coming. We're having a back-on-back action in mid, and that Rainmaker is desperately looking for some picks. They're 2 down. This could be it. There is a one behind, and no, the shot from Rabid, pulling a sneaky and taking down that Rainmaker. Dude, Mussel Up had that in their grass. They had the line painted. You know, there was a free run pass check there, but that shot absolutely killing those hopes and dreams. And the last second there.
Those dreams, but you know, Rabid taking that 1-point lead, and holding that 1-point lead for so long towards the end. I mean, kudos to them though, because you know, Mussel Up, all they had to do was to be able to get over in overtime, but they needed out more players. Rabid coming out over.
This is what I was saying about this map. Where, you know, it's, you know, first check is not too hard, but it's getting past that checked into the last check is just back and forth.
It is. You have quite a lot of high ground you can play with, and if you have an ink fact, if you have like any bombs to throw at the other team throughout any of the paths you want to be taking the Rainmaker, you can just stall them out. You can just stop their pushes for so long if you coordinate those right as well, because those are pretty narrow pathways to that final checkpoint as well, and you're dealing with all that high ground, which definitely gives a pretty good advantage to anyone on defense here, and that's what I believe we saw.
Especially having
weapons,
a tri-slosher on your team too. You want to be taking those height advantages and just sloshing down and around under those ledges for some easy picks there. And this is that moment where the Rainmaker was looking for it, and unfortunately their teammate couldn't secure that pick on that shot to give them a clear run down to the fine wire there. And it looks like we're going to be heading into Clams Mako, old favorite, old reliable Clams Mako.
Oh, I love Clams Mako.
Oh, you do?
It's such a chaotic map mode, because like once again, like the distance from one side to the other, from one basket to the other, is so small, and it's so like everything just happens all at once here, which is a
wipeout can be to your detriment here in an instant, taking lead. And we're seeing the same comps come out from both teams here. You know, we got Zira back on the pencil, from the charger. Already getting a couple of picks here.
Already 2 down on the side of Mussel Up. This is gonna be
and
Rabid.
Ricky finding that player on their side there, off their drop, and it looks like we need to see Mussel Forge collecting, you know, a good old favorite clan economy. But they're consistently getting picks here, which is great for Mussel Up. You know, taking their stack as well, a key position. And we're going to have another Zuka online here, so just applying more and more pressure. They are
we just see the Crab go down. We
But
did see
you
the
know, with
crab go
the
down, and I think that crab was definitely like helping him set up that push. Unfortunately, they didn't quite have like a power clam to kind of follow up on that crab, so that push kind of died, especially when the Zuka came out on the side of Rabid. But with Rabid trying to come back in and take control of the paint here, especially with that inkjet just forcing Mussel up to move back, it does look like we might be able to see a push coming on the side of Rabid if they can just get clams, because they don't have any at the moment, and I don't think that even that attempt to kind of retake mid was working out for them very well, as already Mussel Up has taken over their plat and have already started collecting clams to get their push going once again. That first push kind of got stalled out by Rabid, but they have the power clam online. They just need to find the opening. They need to be able to get that into the basket, Amy.
Yeah, and they've got that crab to add on to that pressure, but it looks like Adapt's making a kind of a return here into mid, forcing that crab out, not to push, but to defend. And unfortunately, Rabid trying to do a little sneaky in the corner there, forced in there. And again, it's quickly changed back into being on the control of Mussel Up. Kiwi kind of looking for a place to push from. They've got the Trizuka in. Adept's going to be kind of trying to throw their bombs out. With only the zap up now, they get the clam in. It's now Mussel Forge's advantage. They're holding that basket well. They've got plenty of clams collecting, working together to take down those players. The inkjet's coming out to try and stall, but it goes down, and you know, we see Mussel Forge up here with all their players. Kiwi being a little rat in their in their base.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a pretty strong push as well. They had so much control, not only like in the middle of the map and on the basket to be able to like go back and get clams when they need it. It does look like the push is ending here, but also up in any of those defensive positions that Rabid wanted to be in order to like stop that push from happening. But that push just kept going all the way down to a score of 38, which is pretty strong. But you know, this is still a very small map. It's still a very chaotic map. They're getting ready for another push here. It looks like if they can wait out this ink strike.
Oh,
the
this
Zook! Oh my
Zook has
god.
just become so intense since the update, since the buff. You're just seeing you're seeing more kills, and it's just, I know versing Zooks, and I've talked to a lot of other people. It's just a pain to verse at the moment. But we're seeing Mussel Forge just not giving Adept any space at the moment. They're trying to create space with their specials and pulling through, but you know, I've seen that inkjet go down a few times there, and it's just, they're just unable to do anything about it with that crab picking off yet another player on a
Oh my
I keep saying
goodness.
Adept on Rabid's team.
Rabid. Well, Adapt is on the team Rabid, and we have been seeing them actually make a lot of really good use, at least on the defensive side of those high ground areas. Slush down on the other team. It does look like with a score of 14, they're going to be keeping this push going, perhaps even down
They
to 5.
only
Perhaps
need
if they
2
can
more
get
clams here.
another clam
Kiwi
top the
goes in
five,
for it
does
and
look like
gets it.
they get
That's
that
a
final
KO.
clam. That is a KO indeed.
Rabid was just unable to get any sort of control. Like, they kind of got control, and then it would like really quickly crumble because they were using, I think, a lot of their resources just to establish presence, and then they had nothing to kind of maintain that presence in mid, or they were, you know, one of their teammates would go down and it would just all fall apart there.
Yeah, wow. That was like, also I gotta say that like what we saw from Mussel Up in terms of just being able to make sure they had so much dominating power, not just from being able to take, like you can see like how much of their color is there on the map, but also being able to get into position to have their Zuka coming out, to get to have like their drinks online just to help support them in terms of not just like getting those clams in, but also taking the fights they need to be able to keep Rabid on the back foot constantly when they are trying to defend here. Only when they had like the inkjet or any of or their Zuka online was Rabid able to like at least push Mussel Up out just a little bit, but only really to slow them down, as you were saying before. They were using up kind of their resources, not being able to come back in once they had at least their numbers advantage on their side. It's not like they could really do a lot after that to make any plays in order to like make a push, or at least get a push started going throughout much of the game.
Yeah, and even though we saw, you know, when Mussel Up was pushing there and they had 2 players down, by providing that cooler before pushing, they had the kind of security blanket as well of, their pencil did a good job just trying to hold stack, and it allowed their front lines to, even if they went down, to quickly establish back presence in mid by using that pencil as an anchor there. And we are going into match point Barnacle Zones.
Match point
Barnacle Zones is just Hammerhead but flatter.
Hammerhead but flatter?
Yeah, because you know how Hammerhead has like a rise kind of going up if you think about the map, it's kind of like in a V shape, whereas like Barnacle I feel is flatter. I don't know how to explain it, but that's how I feel about it.
I get what you mean. One thing I like about Barnacle and Dime is the streets or alleys or whatever you want to call it on either side. I think that like they can be nice.
If you don't keep an eye on them, something you can get quickly punished.
Yeah, you can, but like it's a good way to like make sure you're keeping like a good amount of awareness over where the other team might be coming from, because there are quite a few ways to open out into the zone here. I think anyway, we are seeing already. It does look like Adapt has gone down early on the side of Rabid, but with the Zuka coming out on the side of Rabid, it does look like they're doing what they can to at least try and provide space for them to come back in. But it does look like with so many players having gone down early on, Mussel Up is already going to be pushing up over into Rabid's court here.
That's exactly right. And now they've got specials to continue holding that space. That shot was forced to move out when their team was down, but they are 2 down, so this does give Rabid an opportunity to push in, but the Squeezer, doing a good job defending there with the Zook coming out, but it looks like the zone will change over. But like quickly, look, Mussel Up is just establishing their presence again in mid.
Absolutely, yeah. Even when they managed to cap the zone, oh my goodness, these 2 picks. Storm is going on a rampage here, looking for another one, forcing Rabid to jump out so close to their spawn as well. It does look like, actually, I think like when Rabid actually managed to take the zone just for those few points, I don't think they quite had all of their players close enough to the zone to be able to hold that space with that zone cap kind of coming in, especially off the back of the tri-strikes. But we can see Mussel Up, on the other hand, being able to push up so far ahead and apply all that pressure constantly, is being able to keep this zone ticking down into the low 20s already, Amy.
Yeah, well, the difference is that, Rabid is having to use all their majority of their resources to just even get back into mid, and then again, like I said before, not having anything to hold. They really need to cap the zone, or this will be Mussel Forgers taking the win and moving on into finals here.
Absolutely. Fantastic job from Mussel Up. Fantastic job from Mussel Up being able to, I think, like, once they knew that, okay, we have to be able to get Rabid pushed back far enough in these last few games to be able to secure these wins, they could do that pretty consistently, because like when Rabid was like taking control in the first couple of games, they were able to take like pretty big pushes over Mussel Up, I think.
Well, yeah, and they were forcing Rabid to use, again, like I said, all their resources. I think they just had nothing to kind of maintain it. Yeah, they had the the cooler, they had the Zooks. The only time they did retake zone was with the tri-strikes. They had a couple picks. They took the advantages. But yeah, you see here, it's just adapt on the zone, and with Kiwi kind of playing around their snipe area there, it's keeping those 2 players kind of cautious on pushing in there because they know that they could be potentially flanked.
Yeah, definitely.
Leaving kind of, Adapt left on the zone.
This was such like a clean ending to the game, making sure that like not only do they have like the zone painted, but I always like to look at how much of the map is actually in your color to be able to not just like make it difficult for the other team to come back. There's a reason they make you play
10 levels of Turf War.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite line to say. There's a reason they make you play 10 levels of Turf War, and that is because paint gives you movement. It gives you space to take
the ability to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you the ability to fight really well, which we saw like Rabid constantly kind of like going down maybe 1 or 2 players towards the end, just because they didn't have that movement to be able to take and win those fights, or be able to move back efficiently and effectively. Like we saw even when Muscle Up was pushed up right into Rabid's court, we saw like people jumping out as well because there was almost like no place for them to move either. So Muscle Up being able to really push up so far ahead to be able to apply that constant pressure definitely helped them win those last 2 games in particular.
And with that, we're gonna head to a break and get ready for the finals coming up. We'll be seeing Muscle Up return here, and I think we'll have a look at where we're heading at next, so stay tuned.